Alright, shalom. I would like to give praise to Yahweh Shema Shai, and double honors to apostles, GMS, Great Millstone, and salutation to the brothers that's pushing this truth out in sincerity and truth. Now we got a document. Well, I got a document that says that about the lies and the rhetoric about King James. Was King James a homosexual? Which is no, because the proof is that the document proved that he wasn't homosexual. So we're gonna prove through the document. Then we're gonna add some scriptures to it. All right. Say King James I of England, who authorized the translation of the now famous King James Bible, was considered by many to be one of the greatest, if not the greatest, monarchs that England has ever seen. So he was the greatest monarchs, which means emperor, king, or either ruler. So he was the greatest ruler of England. And I'm going to scriptures to prove that our people were greatest kings in history also. Sirach, chapter 44, verse 1 to 10. It says this. It says Sirach chapter 44, verse 1. It says, "Let us now praise famous men and our fathers that begat us. The Most High have wrought great glory by them through his great power from the beginning, such as did bear rule in their kingdoms, men renowned in their power." So King James was renowned in his power of England. It said, "Giving counsel by their understanding and declaring prophecies, leaders of the people by their counsels and by their knowledge of learning meet for the people, wise and eloquent in their instructions." It says, "Such as found out musical tunes and recited verses in writing, rich men furnished with ability, living peacefully in their habitations. All these were honored in their generations and were the glory of their times." Right, because King James was glory in his times, man. He was a ruler, a monarch. It said all these were honored in their generations and were the glory of their time. There be of them that have left the name behind them, that their praises might be reported. And some there be, which have no memorial, who are perished, and though they have never been, and are become as though they had never been born, and their children after them. But these were merciful men, whose righteousness have not been forgotten." Right, because King James' righteousness never been forgotten. All the prophets of the Bible and all our forefathers never been forgotten. So guess what? King James never been forgotten, because that's our forefather. So reading on, it say, "Through his wisdom and determination he united the warring tribes of Scotland into a unified nation, and then joined England and Scotland to form the foundation for what is now known as the British Empire." Now, if you brothers want to Google up Gnostic warrior, you see for yourself. At a time when only the churches of England possessed the Bible in English, King James' desire was that the common people should have the Bible in their native tongue. So their native tongue is English, because we lost our native tongue, which is Paleo Hebrew, because the Lord knew we was going to lose our native tongue at that time. So the Lord put the Spirit on King James, and it's 54 scholars to translate the scriptures into Greek, Latin, and English. Thus, in 1603, King James called 54 of history's most learned men together to accomplish this great task. So, what I said just now, he actually brought together 54 men, 54 renowned scholars, to complete this task of translating the scriptures. He say, at a time when the leaders of the world wished to keep their subjects in spiritual ignorance, King James offered his subjects the great gift that he could give them, their own copy of the Word of the Most High, English. James, who was fluent in Latin, Greek, and French, and schooled in Italian and Spanish, even wrote a tract entitled Counterblast to Tobacco, which was written to help thwart the use of tobacco in England. Such a man will sure have enemies, because the word thwart goes back to the word hinder or prevent. So what made him enemies? Not to have no type of tobacco in the land of England that he once ruled. That's why he made a lot of enemies. So actually, he banned tobacco and you know what I'm saying, tobacco and tobacco. He banned tobacco out of England. Now I'm gonna go to Sir Anthony Weldon. the lies that was told all over the world that King James was homosexual, which Jake believed that King James was homosexual because the lies was already told all over the world through generations. That's why Jake was convinced to read the scriptures, because they think it's written by a homosexual, which is bullshit. So how is written by a homosexual and he followed the laws? And I'm going to give you the law. It's out of Leviticus chapter 20, verse 13. It says, if a man also lie with mankind, as he lieth with a woman, right? If you lie with mankind as you lie with a woman, both of them have committed an abomination, right? Which is a filthy, wicked act. So King James never was a homosexual. He knew that was a filthy, wicked act. He say, they shall surely be put to death. Their blood shall be upon them. Right, their blood gonna be upon them. Which America promotes homosexuality. So by way of being blood upon them, the Lord had to destroy this place. By way of blood, by way of missiles. Moving on. Sir Anthony Weldon. Say Sir Anthony Weldon's 1583 to 1648 was an English 17th century courtier and politician. So this 13th century from Anglo-French, which the courtier come from the Latin word courtum, means enclosed yard or sovereign's assembly. So during court in America or any other country, mainly America, if you go to court, you're having an enclosed assembly. That's why it goes back to the Latin word courtum. Reading on, it says, he is also purported author of the court and character of King James I. Anthony Weldon had to be excluded from the court. So he got excluded from the court by King James. Weldon swore vengeance. He got mad because he had to get excluded. And this what happened after this. It say it was not until 1650, 25 years after the death of King James, which is actually King James died in 1625. It say it was not until 25 years after the death of King James that Weldon saw his chance. He wrote a paper calling James a homosexual. Obviously, James being dead was in no condition to defend himself. See, if King James alive, he'd get put to death. So this the evil, evil thing that was going on back then. So I have a scripture for that. I'm gonna go to Luke chapter 6 verse 22. Luke chapter 6 verse 22. Alright, Luke 6:22 say, "Blessed are ye when men shall hate you, and when they shall separate you from their company, and shall reproach you, and cast out your name as evil. For the Son of Man's sake." So they cast out his name, so certainly well they cast out his name as evil. So he called him homosexual, which that's evil. Reading on, say obviously James being dead was in no condition to defend himself. The report was largely ignored since there were still enough people alive who knew it wasn't true. It seems though that Weldon's false account is being once again largely ignored by the majority of the so-called Christians, with the exception of those which an ulterior motive, such as its author had. It might also be mentioned here that the Roman Catholic Church was so desperate to keep the true Bible out of the hands of the English people, and it attempted to kill King James for all the Parliament in 1605. So they